Hello, good morning. My name is Lina Maria Sepulveda, and this is the session 15 for the group B, and I am going to wait for my students. Okay, so I am going to start the lesson for today. My students still are missing, but I will start the session. So I am going to share my screen, and the topic for today is must not to versus don't have to. This is the session 15 for the group B, Intermediate English 1. So, must not to or mustn't versus don't have to. There is a difference in the meaning between mustn't and don't have to. Mustn't, the meaning for this, um, it's something that it is prohibited. It is not allowed to do it. It is important that you do not do something. For example, you must not drink that. It is forbidden to drink that. Don't drink that. It is not allowed. You mustn't tell John. Do not tell John. You are not allowed to tell John. So, the difference between don't have to is that there is no or an obligation. You are not required to do something, especially if you don't want to do. For example, you don't have to drink that. You don't need to drink that. But if you want, you can do it. Okay? So you don't have to tell John. You cannot. You can tell John if you want, but this is not necessary. So now I have here some explanations about the topic, uses of must and have to. We use must and have to say that something is necessary or obligatory. Sometimes it doesn't matter which we use. Drivers and passengers have to wear seatbelts. Drivers and passengers must wear seatbelts. For question asking if something is necessary or obligatory, we normally use do I have to? The question form must I, etc. is far less common. Do you have to have an international driving license? Difference between must and have to. There is some a clear difference between must and have to. We use must to talk about an obligation that we impose on other persons or on ourselves. It's our personal opinion. I must go to the optician. The person think is necessary. In contrast, we normally use have to when the obligation comes from outside the speaker. It is subjective. It is outside the speaker's control. I have to go to the optician at 11:30. The time of the appointment has been decided by an outsider, the optician. Note that obligation or necessity is often habitual. Our brain has to wear glasses when he drives. This is an habitual necessity. Mustn't or don't have to. So this is the topic for today. We use mustn't to tell people not to do something, that something is wrong or against the law. Usually in the United States, you mustn't drive at more than 55 mph. We use don't have to say that there is no obligation to do something. It doesn't have to drive so slowly. It isn't necessary. Okay, so this is the topic. I have here some examples about what is the difference must not versus don't have to. There is a big difference between telling someone you mustn't drink alcohol and telling him you don't have to drink alcohol. Meaning, must not means that the action is illegal or dangerous. If I overhear the first speaker, I think this is a doctor telling someone that his health will be ruined if alcohol crosses his lips. He might have a serious heart condition or be taking medication that even a drop of alcohol will impact negatively. Perhaps the speaker is a flight or driving school instructor warning students against operating an aircraft or a car while under the influence of alcohol. The message is that the action could kill you and everyone else. At the very least, you will lose your license. So the meaning of must not is that the action is prohibited, is dangerous in this case, for example. But don't have to, in contrast, suggests that something isn't necessary, that it's a choice. The second speaker is saying that there are many different types of beverage in the world: water, fruit juice, soda, tea, coffee. Alcohol is only one among them. If you don't want to drink alcohol for reasons of taste, health, or religion, it isn't necessary. You can decide. You can choose. Knowing the difference between the two models, you can see why it would be strange to say you don't have to fall asleep while you are driving. It's not just a choice. If you fall asleep, you and others might die. What you mean is you mustn't fall asleep while you are driving. Okay, so now I have here some grammar about the topic. Both must not and do not have to are modal verbs. They are followed by a verb in the simple or base form. No change to its structure. Must not is much stronger than do not have to. Also, must not can only be used to talk about the present or the future. To express this idea in the past, I would have to use was forbidden to or wasn't allowed to. In contrast, do not have to can be used in the past. For example, when I was young, I didn't have to wear a uniform to school. I could choose what I wore. Now I don't have to wear a uniform either because my job doesn't require one. Remember to change to do to does when the subject is she, he, or it. My friend doesn't have to dress up for work. Okay, so I have here a
Hi, I'm Emily.
sorry. I have here a video about the difference between mustn't, and don't have to. So I want you to check this video. But still I am alone. So
Hi, I'm Emily, and I'll be teaching you the difference between must not and don't have to. Let's start with must not. We use must not or mustn't when we're talking about an obligation not to do something, something that is prohibited or forbidden. For example, we could say, you must not drive without a license, or you mustn't drive without a license. This is an obligation not to drive unless you have a license. So you must not drive without a license. Or another obligation, not to be late. we must not be late, or we mustn't be late. We have an obligation not to be late. We could also say, I must not forget my lunch, or I mustn't forget my lunch. This is a personal obligation. It's like saying, I shouldn't forget my lunch. I don't want to forget my lunch. I can't forget my lunch. I mustn't forget my lunch. There's no alternative. It's, I must not forget my lunch. In another example, we could say, we must not run inside the school, because running in the school is not allowed. You'll notice that we can't use must in the past tense, must not in the past tense. Therefore, if we want to say something about not running in the school in the past tense, we have to say something like, running was against the rules, or we couldn't run, or running was forbidden, or running was prohibited, or we weren't allowed to run. So this is how you would use it, express the same idea in the past tense. Now, mustn't and must not is not the same as doesn't have to or don't have to. It's completely different in meaning. We use don't have to or doesn't have to express something that's optional, something that we are not obliged to do. So for example, if someone says, you don't have to smile, that means that you can smile, but you don't have to. You're not obliged to smile, but you can smile if you want. Or, you don't have to wear a tie. Wearing a tie is not necessary, but you can wear a tie if you want. You don't have to wear a tie. You're welcome or allowed not to wear a tie. You don't have to wear it. If someone says, I don't have to go to school today, that means that they are not obliged to go to school. They're not prohibited from going to school. They're just not obliged to go today. You can also use don't have or doesn't have in the past tense. So you can say something like, you didn't have to buy me flowers. This means you weren't obliged to buy me flowers. It wasn't necessary for you to buy me flowers. In another example, you could say, he didn't have to cook dinner. He went to a restaurant, so he didn't need to cook dinner. He wasn't obliged to cook dinner. He didn't have a responsibility to cook dinner. He didn't have to cook dinner. I hope you've learned the difference between must not and have to, and I'd welcome any comments, suggestions, or feedback. Thanks for listening.
So now I have some exercise for my students about grammar and stuff like that, about this topic. But sorry. So I have here another one. And I have here some images also to practice using must not, don't have, or don't have, or have to. So it depends what do you want to express with the kind of phrases. You can make different kind of phrases using these topics. For example, you must not smoke here, um, or you don't have to drink coffee, or the kids must not run in the hall, for example. Depends what do you want to express, so depends. For example, remember, mustn't is for something that is prohibited. It's not allowed. It's forbidden. And don't have to. It's something that you can do if you want. It's like, for example, you don't have to drink that, but if you want, you can do it. Something that is no obligation. Um, okay. Still, my students are missing, so I will share this video. It's about the topic and how they use in a conversation.
Amy, hi. What are you doing here?
It's my new Saturday job. Hi, Elsie.
Really?
Yes, I want to study veterinary science at university, and my parents suggested I should get some experience of working with animals.
And do you like it?
It's my first day. Anyway, what can I do for you?
Well, I've got some money and I've decided I'd quite like a pet. Daisy and Mum like the idea, but Mum says I mustn't get a spider, a scorpion, or a snake.
That's understandable.
Let's see the dogs. Oh yeah, look at these, mate. Puppies. What's that white one?
That's a Dalmatian.
But they've got black spots, haven't they?
Not when they're puppies, no. You have to wait until they're bigger. Then the spots appear.
Ah, I never knew that. Dalmatians are quite big, aren't they?
Yes, they are. You should really have a garden.
Well, we've got one.
And you have to take them out for a walk twice a day. Well, you don't have to go twice, but you must go at least once, every day. Rain, snow, sun, every day. And you mustn't forget to take 2 or 3 small plastic bags when you go out.
Plastic bags?
Well, when your dog... You know, you shouldn't leave it on the street. You should always clean it up and put it in the bin.
And a smaller dog? Should I get one of these?
They're Yorkshire Terriers. They're very small.
And noisy. Get something a bit quieter, Ollie. Think of your neighbours. How about that one?
As an adult, Old English sheepdogs are extremely large, like that one. And you've got to look after their hair regularly. You should brush them as often as possible and get their hair cut.
What about a cat? We used to have a cat. She was a bit unfriendly. She used to scratch the sofa and our legs, and she stole food if you left it for a moment. You've got to be careful with a cat. Some are nice, but some are, well, a turtle? They're small and quiet, and they don't have hair.
They grow, and then you have to buy a bigger tank. You'd better buy a thermostat and a filter if you want a turtle. And you mustn't forget to change the water. They don't smell great.
What about a hamster?
I don't know what I should do. I mean, I don't want you to feel uncomfortable.
I don't mind. And if you like him, why not? He has to decide if he wants to go out with the mother of a student now. But he seems nice. Maybe you should go for a coffee or lunch and see how you feel. If you don't like him, you don't have to see him again.
Oh, I shouldn't be asking you about this sort of thing. Oh, but I feel like a teenager. Why do these things have to be so complicated?
It's not complicated, Mum. You mustn't forget, he's the one who suggested going for a drink. So he obviously likes you, and you obviously like him. What's complicated?
I'm in New Zealand. I'm about to go and fly over volcanoes. It's not easy to combine my kind of life with, well, a romance.
You'll be home next week, and maybe you should take some time off travelling. Spend some time with us, and with him. And I'll be leaving school in a year, so Go on, Mum. Life's too short. You should phone him.
Well, I'll think about it. I'd better go. I mustn't miss the helicopter. Is Oliver there?
No, he's out buying that pet. Oh, no, here he is. Ollie, it's Mum.
Hi, Mum.
Did you get anything?
Yes, I did. And his name's Hannibal.
So this video is really interesting and explain a lot of modal verbs that we usually use to express something like, let me check here.
Recipe. And my parents.
For example, here. Okay, what they use.
I've got some money and
I mustn't get a spider, a scorpion, or a snake. I mustn't. So he's not allowed to do that, to buy a spider, a scorpion, or a snake.
puppies.
Okay,
Big,
let's
aren't
check
they?
it out.
Yes, they are. You should really have every day. Rain,
Oh, we've got one.
and you have to take the
So she explains something about the dog. You have to take them out for a walk, twice a day. So you have to. Well, she mentioned something like you don't have to go twice, but you must go at least once. You must. You need to do it because it's important for the pet.
And a smaller dog?
Okay, here we have.
Should I get one of these?
their Yorkshire haircut.
Eh?
They grow, and then you have
So then you have to buy a bigger tank. You have to. You need to do it. So this kind of modal verbs we use a lot when we are talking because it's important to express different kind of ideas. So depends what do you want to express. You can use mustn't or don't have to. Okay. So this is the topic for today. This topic is really short because it's not so complicated. It's just question of learn how to use it and when you need to use different kind of modal verbs like mustn't or versus don't have to. So that's it. Thank you so much. I hope you like this video and my explanation about it. And see you in the next time. For the next time will be the last session of this um, um, course. I hope these sessions help my students to improve their skills and learn a lot of English and topics. Thank you so much. Bye bye.